is Janet Linda Anak Pagang from RSR 24338. So for today, I would like to share about my presentation that is Neuromotor basis for motor control. Okay, so we looked for my first slide, that is the introduction of the neuromotor basis for motor control. So what is neuromotor system? Okay, so the neuromotor system is the components of the central nervous system and peripheral nervous system involved in the control of coordinated movement. What does that mean? Okay, it means that our central nervous system is control all of our movement in our daily lives. For example, we walk, we jump, we throw, we kick something. Of course, our CNS involved in our movement. Imagine that we don't have CNS. So of course, we cannot do all of our daily activities. So what is CNS? Okay, later I will explain. Okay, what is central nervous system? Okay, so central nervous system is divided into two components. There is brain and also spinal cord. As we see here, without both of these, surely we cannot do our daily activities like walk, jump, as I mentioned just now, because our brain is our controller for our body movement.
Okay, so the structural components of the brain that are most directly involved in control of movement are the cerebrum, diencephalon, brainstem, and cerebellum. Okay, so these four types of components have its own function. The cerebrum and diencephalon are sometimes referred as the forebrain. Means that the location of the cerebrum and diencephalon is in front of our head in this part, as we see in the slide. Okay, now I would like to explain about the brain components, that is cerebrum. So what is cerebrum? Cerebrum is one of two components of forebrain. As I mentioned just now, the other one of components of forebrain is diencephalon, that is located in front of our head. Cerebrum consists of two halves, that is right cerebral hemisphere and left cerebral hemisphere, which are connected by sheet of nerve fibers known as the corpus callosum. So, both hemisphere is covered by cerebral cortex. Okay, so what is cerebral cortex? Cerebral cortex is we known as the outer layer of the cerebrum. The layer of the cerebrum. So this covering is a thin tissue of nerve cell bodies called gray matter, which is about 2 to 5 millimeter thick. Okay, next is the cortex of each hemisphere consists of four lobes that are named frontal lobe, parietal lobe, occipital lobe, and temporal lobe. As usual, each of them have their own function. Okay, the first one is frontal lobe. Okay, the frontal lobe which is the area anterior to the central sulcus, contains brain areas that are vital to the control of voluntary movement. Okay, what is the example of our voluntary movement? Our voluntary movement is like moving our arm, kicking a ball, or lifting a weight. Okay. So, next one is parietal lobe. So, parietal lobe is the key brain center for the control of perception and the integration of sensory information. The most posterior lobe of the cortex is the occipital lobe, which contains areas important in visual perception. Means the function of the occipital lobe is for our visual perception, our eyes. Then finally, the temporal lobe, which is located just below the lateral fissure, plays important role in memory, abstract thought, and judgment. Okay, finally, so our several cortex areas are involved in sensory functions. For example, sensory cortex, they are located posterior to the central sulcus. Specific type of sensory information are transmitted via the sensory nerve to the area of the cortex that receive that type of information. For example, the somatic sensory area receive pain, temperature, and pressure sensory information. So, for the next slide, I will proceed with video that is about our neuromotor basis for motor control. So, enjoy it. In a nutshell, our central nervous system is important for our body function. Imagine that we don't have brain, so that is not logic because we are human beings. Of course, we have brain that is natural gift from our God. That is the function of central nervous system is to control all of our body parts. So that's all from me. Thank you.